It's easy to get lost. This is The Revenue Maze, and I'm Valerie Cobb. Join me as we navigate the halls, dead ends, and U-turns on our path towards upward growth trajectory. The Revenue Maze is sponsored by Lodestar URY, guidance and execution through fractional revenue leadership, uncovering hidden revenue streams, and empowering small business growth through process-driven sales. Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad you're all listening today. I have a great guest today. I'm so excited. He's won awards, got a patent, cares about the environment, which we're all way into, passionate about impacting lives with technology. I love that. And wait for it, he's the CEO at Joule Case. Welcome, James Wagoner.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
I love that you're here. There's so many exciting things that you are doing, and we're going to get to that. But we always have to start the revenue maze the same way for the listeners, that with our thesis of what's one thing that you can tell the audience that will help them get out of the revenue maze.
It's not revolutionary, but if you are in the revenue maze, you're going to understand that is just to start with one thing and find that product market fit, and then you can expand. But and you might have to cast that net wide in terms of finding that product market fit. But once you found that and you really know what that is, and if you're wondering if maybe I have it here. I'm here to tell you don't, right? That's like, if you're kind of thinking you have it and you don't, it's very obvious when you do. When customers come knocking at your door, asking for stuff that you didn't even know that was, that you'd reached out to them or anything like that, then you have the product market fit. Then that's when you can, narrow that wide net and really dive in deep to that focused vertical that had that has that fit, and then go from there.
Wow. Yeah. I think sometimes we underestimate just that clause, product market fit, right? I mean, I've worked with getting on board SDRs and different things for different companies. And one of the things that Aaron Ross group, I'm trying to remember what they're called. Anyways, the first thing they'll ask you is, if there's good product market fit, then yeah, we can take off. If it's really muddled, it could be a long time. So I 100% agree with you on that. But what are a couple of things that you've done to help with getting that product market fit?
So Joule Case has been on a very long journey. We were founded in 2015, and there's a big vision of building the standard product platform for all of your energy needs, broadly speaking. But then, how do you go from there to customers and revenue? Mm-hmm. And then so we had some pretty exciting customers in music festivals and events. We did a big live demonstration in front of AEG Live, live music as well, mm-hmm. Right? And Insomniac, wow. The biggest players around events, and that was February of 2020. So we all know how that all went. And we had to find another customer that was willing to pay for a Joule Case product. So we've had to kind of find our product market fit twice. Wow. Where now what do you do when there's no events and the world changes? And what we've been able to do is cast that net wide again, and then find that our product fits very well in these businesses, SMBs, and even enterprise that have large power applications that they're portable, or that can't be relied on the grid to serve. And those are becoming increasingly more. The trust in the grid is starting to degrade, and the trust in batteries is starting to improve. And so, like I said, we absolutely have a tremendous fit on the product market fit in businesses.
That is so interesting that you had to do it twice, first of all. And yes, we all know the reasoning behind that. But yeah, I mean, it's almost like it's the world and the globe has been poised for this for a while. And we'll get into your product a little bit later, but and it's nice that you didn't just go, okay, well, crap, now what do we do? And you tried to see somewhere other avenues to go into that. I think sometimes companies do spread themselves too broad. I'm working with one right now that has so many products that their sales team doesn't, it's like, well, what do you do? And a lot of these smaller businesses don't have the bandwidth of these massive companies that can handle that kind of thing. So I completely agree with that one. So yeah, that's exciting. And I was laughing when we were talking before, of talking about some of the events like Burning Man, and my daughter's going, oh my gosh, yes, that would have been a great event and all those things. And then I noticed that you guys were also at the biggest food truck event. And I didn't know there was such a thing, even as a big food truck. We're currently in North Idaho, and they have a food truck place. That's all they do is food trucks, and it's hugely, but tell us about that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We're a part of that association. There are several members. In fact, a lot of the leadership have converted their food trucks to Joule Case already. And there was a big idea of having a big food truck rally in a baseball stadium, right there on the ballpark in the field. And how cool is that, right? And and to have the trust where they could trust that whole event to be powered by Joule Case, right? That doesn't just happen. There is a lot of case studies that they could point to, and then so we were interested in it. Although the food trucks the price of admission was to get powered by Joule Case, because you have the early adopters in a lot of these food trucks, but then you have some that are just not going to trust a new technology no matter what, right? But the requirement was you had to be powered by Joule Case, and the fact that there were several trucks that are already being powered by us gave them that strength to say, yes, this is in fact what you need to do. And just the the exposure to the stadium, the exposure to in terms of the grass and everything, right? The noise, the pollution. They wanted to have something that had a better message than here's all of these generators being powering food on a ballpark. So we jumped in there and powered all. There's 18 food trucks that all participated. The whole event sold out. I think all of the food trucks actually sold out their food as well. So it was a tremendous event. I'm sure it's the first of many to come. A lot of really excited Joule Case customers as well, when we were able to prove that this was very easy for Joule Case to do for them.
It's an interesting thing. So obviously the energy sector is quite hot right now, right? And as always, we all want and need that. Some in other countries don't have it. I remember when I was living in the Cayman Islands and a Hurricane Ivan hit and wiped it out. I took I had to drive. One of the ladies that I knew was Jamaican, and they used to share a place in basically a hovel. And in that, they had to have propane or they couldn't cook. So you had to go get a propane tank, bring it back, because they didn't have They didn't have the ability to do a car. They weren't, obviously if they were sharing space, that was kind of how the world was in the other countries at the time. And one of the things that was so interesting, fast forwarding, is, I was in the heavy equipment space, and all of Volvo, all of the organizations are all trying to move to electric powered, even all the heavy equipment, right? Which Takes some serious juice to do that. But I did notice that you have a massive, I see those on this construction site, an entire container battery kind of thing, sort of. And of course, that's not the correct term, but it's challenging, especially with the infrastructure projects that are slated and happening throughout the globe for the places like when I was talking about the gal in Jamaica. You have a lot of those mega cities cropping up, and they all need power. They all need all that infrastructure put into play. And it looked to me a lot like Joule Case was right up there with all the green technology. And I'd love to hear a little more how you got to this point. That's great. You got a product market fit, but did you just wake up one day and go, yeah, this is green and we're going to figure this out? You said it's been a while. So what brought you into the space? Kind of back up a little bit.
Yeah. Happy to give the backstory. This is a story with my co-founder and I, Alex Livingston. And we actually met freshman year at University of Idaho, so North Idaho there. And then, fast forward 4 years, we're graduating. And this was kind of when, the world started to realize that you have a global warming problem, and that, all of these gasoline and diesel vehicles are an issue. And then the magic bullet was going to be hydrogen. And then so 2006, we were talking, and we both agreed that hydrogen was kind of just not going to be the solution. Bottom line, it's great that like Shell or these automotive companies are saying hydrogen, but there's some massive problems that are not going to get figured out. They're going to prevent that from happening. It's going to be batteries. Okay, charging. And then so we ultimately developed a battery swapping system for electric vehicles, right? And kind of the wet behind the ears, 22-year-old mechanical engineer building a whole, these battery blade systems. So you'd have 8 of them for your Honda Civic, you'd have 13 for your Chevy Suburban, and you could go to a gas station and 20 pounds each, have that gas station attendant to swap them out, and now you don't have that problem of charging for hours. And then so we went to a couple different green trade shows, got featured in Green Beat magazine, which was the publication back then. And then surprise, Spain reached out to us. And, again, we're 20, now we're maybe 23-year-old kids, or I think that we're, this is fun for us, right? We think this is a good idea, but certainly are not really understanding what is exactly going on. I guess, the other part of the story too is there's another company called Project Better Place at this time. They had another EV swappable system. They were funded with $1.2 billion for an EV exchange system that would be one single pack, right? And it's a whole car wash. So $1 million to set up this infrastructure with a giant mechanical arm that pulls that 800-pound battery from your car and then puts another 800-pound battery in exchange, and then you drive off. That creates a lot of engineering challenges. It created some really ugly cars, and and now you don't see Project Better Place around. They didn't.
What, our cars need to be pretty?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly, right. And then so they didn't make it, and there was a big, the Great Recession. Their clean tech as a whole really took a back seat to, the European austerity measures, the Great Recession and jobs being lost. And so, that was unfortunate in terms of, the clean tech story in trying to prevent pollution or prevent greenhouse gases, right? But, so Joule Case didn't make it, but we ultimately had this, this contract with Spain to supply 12,000 taxis with this battery system that Alex and I designed, when we're 22 years old. And then so that was pretty cool. And then, when they said that, they're canceling that contract, that's when my hair turned gray. And
that's when mine would too.
Yeah.
Although I dye mine, so I cheat.
Yeah. So that was kind of the start of Joule Case, and then we had to kind of take professional jobs, and then then we're in Portland in 2015 together. Alex was at Sharp, and we're like, there's maybe some other legs to this. And we were looking at Goal Zero. Goal Zero just sold to NRG around that time. And we thought that it would be something even more exciting what Goal Zero built, something that, could build out not just, one-off sale, but an ecosystem that you could engage with. And then so Alex and I, we're now on our 6th version of our product that we built and sold to customers to kind of iterate on how we want to build the product itself. And then, 2 different markets now that we've really focused on. What we're building is not, it's a lot of work. It's not just a one-off sale, absolutely. But, I couldn't be more excited about where we are.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting story. And the audience probably would love to hear that you're a cyclist as well, because you're you kind of practice what you preach when it's calling green, right? And so I heard a little bit that you went from San Francisco to LA, Los Angeles, and then I'm trying to remember, Seattle to Portland, or was that right? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 I win.
That's right.
I was trying
love cycling. Seattle to Portland is a big ride. There's 10,000 riders who do it every year. That was actually the first ride I ever really did. It's just a friend and I, kind of New Year's resolution, saying what we're going to do. And then really, and actually he abandoned me, but I stuck to it, right? And finished that ride and I ended up doing it in one day. So it's normally a 200-mile ride in 2 days, and did the one-day version of it, which the theory being is that you don't have to wake up sore and get on your bike again. But, I don't know. I think I would have preferred the 2-day. But then that really spurred a passion of cycling for me that, I've done San Francisco to LA. I rode around Mount Rainier here in Seattle. So that's a 150-mile ride, 10,000 feet of vertical.
Wow.
A lot of other kind of century rides that I'll do every once in a while. It's kind of my stress reliever, right? To go out on a beautiful day and just get on the bike.
Yeah, I can imagine. So let's talk a little bit more. We want to get in and hear more about you personally, but a little bit more about, the show, because it is the Revenue Maze. One thing that I am always thinking about, and for my clients, I'm always thinking about, is the value proposition on certain things. And I don't pitch products on the show or anything like that. But when we're talking about energy and we're talking about renewables, and talking about saving the planet and all of that kind of stuff, what sort of differentiates Joule Case from some of the other types of things that would say this is the better option to go, for the planet wise, for the investor wise? I know you guys are working on, you got your first round of crowdfunding and you're on your second round right now. And so I'm just curious, to an investor, what would you be saying here? You're going to invest in this one versus this one? Because I'm in sales, so I'm always curious about that one.
Yeah. So on the investor side, and I also love to talk about on the customer side as well, but on the investor side, Joule Case has got a phenomenal team. You have Alex and I is spending more than a decade each. It's coming up on it's 15 years now in terms of battery applications. You have a COO that's got 5 successful exits. We're able to hire Apple's head of battery.
Wow.
So this guy was a decade at Apple building out all of the battery systems for all of the Apple products. He's got 17 patents around consumer battery applications. And we actually just promoted him to CTO, but he's been with Joule Case for a year now, continue to develop out our technology. And so with Dave at the helm of our technology, we now have, I believe it's now 7 patents that are granted, focused on our application of our battery systems. We now have 20 additional patents that are pending. And then you have some very exciting large customers that are on board with our with our platform, right? So the preferred power provider for Insomniac. Insomniac's a massive music festival venue. They do over 100 events worldwide, and we have powered 3 of their events now, and that's not to take it lightly, because it means that they've trusted Joule Case to be integrated in their infrastructure for power. Power is the fundamental part of their event. If they don't have any power, it doesn't happen. So you can check out more. We're on WeFunder, right? We now have over 1,000 investors on our campaign. But wefunder.com/Joule_Case, or just go to the Joule Case website and you're going to see the banner up there, and you can learn more about what we're doing in there. But you have multiple different markets. You have a product market fit that we're describing here. I might be a little biased, but the team that we built is really a world-class team and a leader in the industry. And that doesn't even go into some, so for example, so talk about sales. We just hired Grant Cardone's right-hand man.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
So Justin Levier is taken over as our vice president of sales, and has made a huge impact. Our sales have grown dramatically since he's, and this is just getting started. He's 2 months into the job.
Wow.
So just a couple other tidbits of other people. Another one, our marketing person is a twice over investor into Joule Case. So as an angel investor, he invested twice, and he's so excited about it that now he's jumped on full time as our marketing, and has done a tremendous job over there as well.
That's awesome. So yeah, I was just curious, because when I was looking at it, I was kind of going, okay, if we're what would bring that second round, and it sounds like you've got really great talent coming into it. So yeah, that's awesome. So then people have to get to know you personally. And we talked about cycling and some of those things. What else do you like to do? What are you passionate about other than batteries? I don't want to hear batteries anymore.
No batteries. Well, yeah, I definitely geek out on some batteries. It's cycling and camping and backpacking in the summer. And then it's a lot of skiing in the winter. And grew up in Idaho, started skiing at age 3. I ski and I snowboard, and so it kind of just depends on the mountain and the terrain and who I'm going with. But I have to live in a place where there's mountain. I can kind of see someone and go skiing for a day, right? Like on a Sunday, go just for a day trip, something like that. And try to go as much as I can, because it's absolutely my happy place in the winter.
Exactly. In the darker places, that is what you have to be able to do. That's right. We were talking about Schweitzer Mountain up here in the Coeur d'Alene area, Sandpoint area. So that's fun. That is a lot of fun stuff. So anyways, well, it sounds exciting, some of the stuff that you've been working on, and you've definitely, I would say you have the patience of Job, but you would have to be as an inventor and as starting a company. So that's amazing stuff there. So what advice would you give people who are trying to, like your younger self? What advice would you give them?
It's always, I was given this advice and I didn't heed it, but it's always going to take longer and cost more money, right? Of course. Another one that, one of your previous guests also said is, you don't know what you don't know, right? I really adhere to that piece of advice a lot. Be curious, ever curious. And then, maybe another one that I think is important is don't ever, come in with a lot of pride or think that you just don't know anything, right? Come in with this curiosity mindset, come in with a growth mindset, come into any type of conversation open and honest. Willing to ask questions and also to offer up your own knowledge. I've learned a tremendous amount from, fellow entrepreneurs, co-founders, from investors, from strategic partners. I've immediately had to put that to use. But that's not, it's not anything, on my side. That's more on just their, generosity to share, and then, just put that to use. It's nothing, it's hard, but it's not hard, right? It's, fundamentally, if you can do this without having the pride and just continue to put in the hard work and have the patience, right? Just have all these things and you're fine, right? But I think it's just if you can find something that you're passionate about, and that you are excited about every day, that even in the lowest of lows that you strongly believe in, then you have a winner. And go follow that. If you're doing something that you don't have passion for, it's going to be work every day.
That's very true. It's going to be work anyway, but yeah, it'd be nice if you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
No, that's good advice. And I think that the listeners, the audience is small businesses, and they are also traversing some of the very similar things, and it can be difficult for sure, and with 84% of them failing in the first few years, you want to hear advice, you want to listen. Don't think you know everything, and then you're the one that failed in the first 5 years. I know as I've gotten older, that is the one thing I don't know what I don't know,
Yeah.
And curiosity sometimes gets the best of me because I like asking questions. Well, how did you, why, and it helped me in new product development for sure. But that was for other companies, not myself. So I'm always curious about that. So,
yeah.
Wow, James. Well, crowdfunding, being humble, all this wonderful stuff. How can people get a hold of you for Joule Case? What's the best way?
Yeah, great. So I'm fairly active on LinkedIn, and anyone wants to, connect with me on LinkedIn, that would be great. Send a note, just introducing yourself, and happy to connect there.
That's awesome. Should they invite you skiing too?
If anyone's in the Northwest, great Northwest, and wants to go skiing or go cycling, right? Just did I had a wet Memorial Day weekend here in Seattle this weekend.
Yes,
but
it
went
was.
hiking anyway. But any of that stuff, would love to to talk business and go outside and enjoy fresh air and some great physical activity, right? Would love to do that with anyone.
Perfect. Well, there you have it, everybody that is listening on the Revenue Maze. It's been really exciting to listen to James and his story and what they're doing with Joule Case and ways to get out of the revenue maze. Thanks again. Thank you again, James. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining another great episode. For show notes, links, and resources, visit revenuemaze.com. And never forget, you are why.